A black woman walks into a luxury car dealership. The sales director takes one look at her and decides she's nobody. A scammer. A waste of his time. What he doesn't know. She's worth $12 billion. And she's holding contracts that could make or break his entire company. In 18 minutes, he'll destroy an 87-year-old business and multiple careers and learn the most expensive lesson of his life. By the time he Googles her name, it'll already be too late. This is the true story of the $3 billion mistake. And I'm going to tell you exactly how it happened. Stay with me, because what happens next will change how you see people forever. Welcome to Reality Stories Hub. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from. You know, sometimes the biggest moments in life start so quietly you almost miss them. No dramatic music, no warning signs. Just an ordinary Tuesday afternoon that's about to change everything. Let me tell you about Victoria Hayes. She's the kind of woman who built an empire from nothing. Started in a tiny apartment with just a laptop and a dream, building software for hospitals. Today, her company, Meditech Solutions, is worth $12 billion. $12 billion. She employs over 40,000 people across 6 continents, and her technology saves lives every single day in hospitals around the world. But here's the thing about Victoria. She doesn't walk around wearing her success like a billboard. She's quiet about it. Humble, even. And on this particular Tuesday, she was about to learn something painful about what happens when people judge you before they know you. Picture this. Dallas, Texas. The sun is blazing hot the way it does in late summer. Victoria pulls her dark blue BMW into the parking lot of Sterling Motors, the biggest, fanciest car dealership in the entire state. This place has been around for 87 years. They sell cars that cost more than most people's houses. Their reputation? Spotless. Or so everyone thought. Victoria sits in her car for a moment, just watching. Through those huge glass windows, she can see the salespeople inside, moving around like dancers in a choreographed routine. One guy practically runs toward an elderly white gentleman in a suit. Another hovers around a young couple, nodding and smiling at everything they say. She takes a deep breath and steps out. She's wearing a beautiful navy blazer, pressed slacks, professional heels. Her hair is perfect. Under her arm, she carries a leather folder. Inside that folder? Contracts. Preliminary agreements for the biggest deals Sterling Motors has ever seen. 320 vehicles. Luxury SUVs for her executive team, electric cars for her medical transport division, sedans for her regional managers. The total? $3 billion over 5 years. $3 billion. But Victoria wasn't here to sign anything yet. See, she'd learned something over her 20 years in business. You don't judge a company by what they promise in fancy boardroom meetings. You judge them by how they treat regular people when nobody's watching, when they think you're nobody special. So she came alone. No assistant, no entourage, no phone call ahead. Just her, walking through those automatic doors like any other customer. The cool air hits her face. The smell of leather and new cars fills the space. It's beautiful inside, cars positioned like artwork, spotlights making them gleam. A red sports car sits on a platform that's slowly rotating. Black SUVs line the walls. And way in the back, behind glass partitions, she can see the really expensive ones. The ones that require appointments. Victoria walks deeper into the showroom. Her heels click on the polished floor. Click, click, click. That's the only sound for a while, because here's what's interesting. Nobody comes over to her. She passes a young couple being shown financing options. The salesman is animated, excited, pulling out charts and graphs. She walks past another salesman explaining cargo space to a woman with 2 kids. He's on his knees, demonstrating how the 3rd row folds down. But for Victoria, nothing. Not even a hello. Not even a I'll be right with you. She stops near a silver SUV. It's right in the middle of the showroom floor where anyone paying attention would notice. She waits. 30 seconds pass. A full minute. She pulls out her phone, checks her messages. Her assistant, Patricia, has sent the final contract revisions. The legal team is ready. The board of directors expects her signature by Friday. Everything is ready to move forward. Everything except this one simple test. Victoria glances toward the back where the luxury section is. A man in an expensive suit stands there, typing something on his computer. His nameplate reads, Robert Davidson, Senior Sales Director. He looks up. For just a second, their eyes meet. And Victoria sees it. That look. The one she's seen 1,000 times before in her life. Not interest. Not customer service. Something else entirely. Judgment. Dismissal. The mental calculation of not worth my time. Robert grabs a clipboard and starts walking toward her. But his body language tells Victoria everything she needs to know. He's not approaching a valued customer. He's approaching a problem he needs to handle quickly. Victoria sets her phone down on the hood of the SUV. She straightens her blazer.
Takes a breath. This is it. This is the moment.
The real evaluation begins now. Robert Davidson has worked at Sterling Motors for 17 years. Started as a junior salesman. Worked his way up.
He's good at his job.
Really good. He can read people in seconds, the way they dress, how they walk, what they touch, how long they look at price tags. Real buyers, in his experience, move with purpose. They ask specific questions. They know what they want. This woman standing by the SUV? She has that look. The one that means she wandered in to look around. Maybe saw the cars through the window and got curious. He's dealt with this exact situation hundreds of times. People who can't actually afford anything, walking through like they own the place, taking up his valuable time. Just last week, some college kid in designer knockoffs asked to test drive a Porsche. The week before that, a guy wanted to sit in a Lamborghini just to take selfies for social media. Robert has learned to handle these situations efficiently. Polite enough to avoid complaints. Firm enough to move them along quickly. He checks his watch. 3:15. He has a real appointment at 4 o'clock. A hospital administrator looking to upgrade his wife's Mercedes. That's a deal worth his time. This is not. He approaches with his clipboard held against his chest like a shield. The woman looks up from her phone. Her expression is calm. Too calm, actually. That annoys him more than he'd like to admit. Can I help you find something? He asks. He doesn't smile. Doesn't offer to shake her hand. Just stands there, waiting for her to realize she doesn't belong and leave. But Victoria Hayes doesn't leave. She looks him straight in the eye and says, Yes, I'm interested in your corporate fleet program. And that's when everything starts to unravel. Robert almost laughs. Almost. But he catches himself just in time. A corporate fleet program? He glances past her, scanning the parking lot. Maybe she's with someone else. Maybe a husband is parking the car. But no, she's alone. Fleet program, he repeats slowly, letting the words hang in the air between them. That's commercial sales. Completely different department. I'm aware, Victoria says. Her voice is steady, professional. I was told to contact the luxury fleet director. According to your website, that's you. Something about her tone irritates Robert. The confidence. The way she stands there like she has every right to his valuable time. He gets this sometimes. People who read a few articles online and suddenly think they understand the business. Yeah, that's me. He taps the clipboard twice against his palm. Fleet sales require a minimum of 20 vehicles. We're talking established corporations with verified credit lines, purchasing departments, the whole 9 yards. He looks at her directly now, making sure she understands what he's really saying. Maybe you're thinking of our certified pre-owned lot. That's about 2 miles down the road. They handle individual sales, payment plans, that sort of thing. Victoria doesn't move. Doesn't blink. Just keeps looking at him with those steady, calm eyes. I'm thinking of 320 vehicles, she says quietly. Mixed luxury and electric fleet. Delivery across multiple states and international locations. Robert's jaw tightens. 320 vehicles.
Right.
And he's the king of England. He's heard some wild stories before, but this is reaching new levels of absurd. He forces a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Okay, 320. He nods slowly, the way you'd nod at a child explaining their imaginary friend. Well, for a fleet order that size, we'd need to see corporate documentation, proof of funds, authorized purchasing agreements. I have preliminary contracts in my folder, Victoria says, tapping the leather portfolio under her arm. But first, I'd like to see the limited edition model in your private showcase. The one listed at $425,000. Robert's smile vanishes completely. The Titan Elite. The car they received 3 weeks ago with explicit instructions to only show qualified buyers. He'd sold one last month to an oil executive who paid cash without blinking. And this woman wants to see it? You want to see the Titan Elite? It's not really a question. It's disbelief wrapped in professional courtesy that's rapidly disappearing. Yes, Victoria says simply. Robert sets his clipboard down on a nearby desk.
Hard.
Harder than necessary. That's a serious vehicle. Maybe we should start with something more? He catches himself, recalibrates. Something more practical. We have excellent SUVs, hybrid models that are really popular right now. I'd like to see the Titan Elite, please. Robert checks his watch. Makes sure she sees him do it. 3:22. His real appointment is in 38 minutes. He's
Yes,
wasting
it's
time on
confirmed.
someone who probably
Excellent.
can't
Here you
afford
go.
the floor mats
Thanks,
on that
this
car.
is perfect.
Look, he says,
Yes,
dropping
it's
more of
confirmed.
the professional mask.
Excellent.
Here you
That
go.
vehicle
Thanks,
requires
this
an
is
appointment.
perfect.
We don't just pull it out for her. He pauses, searching for diplomatic words. For casual browsing. I'm not browsing casually, Victoria says. I'm evaluating your inventory for a corporate partnership.
Sure she is.
Robert sighs. Loud enough for her to hear.
Fine.
Let me see what I can do. He walks toward the private showcase, deliberately slow, hoping she'll take the hint and leave. She doesn't. She follows 3 steps behind, silent except for the click of her heels. He unlocks the glass partition and gestures inside like he's doing her a massive favor. The Titan Elite sits under perfect lighting. Matte black exterior, custom interior, a vehicle built for people who've already bought everything else. This model starts at $425,000, Robert says, his voice taking on that rehearsed quality of someone explaining quantum physics to a 5-year-old. Most buyers finance through our premium lending partners. We have rates as low as 4.7% for qualified applicants. Of course, approval typically requires credit scores above 760 and verified annual income of at least $600,000. He glances at her, waiting for reality to set in, waiting for her to make an excuse and leave. Now, the monthly payment on something like this, even with excellent credit, you're looking at around $7,000 a month for 72 months. That's before insurance, which on a vehicle of this class runs about $900 monthly. So all in, you're at almost $8,000 a month just to keep it on the road. Victoria walks around the car slowly. She runs her fingers along the hood, examines the wheel rims, opens the driver's door, and looks inside. Studies the dashboard, the leather seats, the technology. Robert crosses his arms. His patience is officially gone. Victoria closes the door and steps back. She's seen enough. The vehicle is perfect, everything Patricia's research promised. But that was never really the question. The question was about the people selling it. I'll take it, she says. Robert blinks. I'm sorry. I'll purchase this vehicle. Today. For a moment, Robert just stares at her. Then that condescending smile returns, wider this time, almost amused.
Sure.
Absolutely. He pulls out his tablet, taps the screen a few times. Let's just start with a credit application. I'll need your full legal name, social security number, current employment information, annual income. I'm paying cash, Victoria says. Robert's finger freezes mid-tap. Cash. Yes. He lets out a breath that's almost a laugh. Ma'am, this is a $425,000 vehicle. When you say cash, I assume you mean financing with a substantial down payment. Because even with excellent credit. Victoria reaches into her portfolio and pulls out a single card.
Black.
Metallic. No visible numbers, just subtle markings. She places it on the desk between them with a soft click. The American Express Centurion card. Robert stares at it. The legendary card that requires you to spend at least $250,000 annually just to keep it. The card that comes by invitation only. The card that supposedly only a few thousand people in the entire world possess. He picks it up, holds it to the light, examines it closely, and then Robert Davidson makes the most expensive mistake of his entire life. He starts laughing. It starts as a chuckle, a small, amused sound in the back of his throat. But then it builds, grows louder, becomes genuine laughter mixed with disbelief. Other salespeople look over. The young couple from the SUV section turns toward the sound. Even customers pause what they're doing. "Oh, come on," Robert says, shaking his head, barely containing himself. "Really? A Centurion card? You?" He holds it up, shows it to another salesman named Tyler, who's wandered over to see what's funny. "Look at this. These scammers are getting bold." Victoria's face remains perfectly neutral. She doesn't move, doesn't speak, just watches him. "Lady, I've been in this business 17 years, Robert continues, his voice carrying across the showroom now. "You can buy these knockoffs online for $40. They even sell them at novelty shops. I've seen a dozen of these fake cards this year alone." Tyler looks uncomfortable. "Robert, maybe we should just what?" Robert interrupts. "Run a fake card? Waste another 20 minutes on this." He tosses the card back across the desk. It slides, stops inches from the edge. I've seen this scam before. Someone walks in, tries to look important, pulls out a prop card, hopes we'll fall for it. A small crowd has formed now. The couple from earlier. An older salesman. Even the receptionist has stood up from her desk. You know what the real giveaway is? Robert is on a roll now, playing to his audience. The real Centurion card has a specific weight. Titanium and stainless steel. About 14.7 grams. He bounces it mockingly in his palm. This feels like plastic with maybe some metal coating. These Chinese knockoffs are getting better, I'll give them that. But they're still fake. He flicks it back across the desk. It spins once before landing face up in front of Victoria. "I don't have time for games," Robert says,
Yes,
his voice
it's
getting
confirmed.
louder, more
Excellent.
authoritative.
Here you go.
"I
Thanks,
have
this is
actual buyers
perfect.
with actual money waiting for appointments. Real clients who don't need to walk in here with props from Amazon trying to prove something." Tyler shifts uncomfortably. "Robert, maybe. Maybe what? Waste another half hour on this." Robert cuts him off. "And then what happens when the card declines?" She acts surprised, tries another card, makes some excuse about her bank being difficult, and suddenly I've lost an hour I can't get back. Victoria still hasn't moved. She stands perfectly still, the card on the desk between them. But something has changed in her eyes. Not anger, not embarrassment, something colder. The look of someone making a calculation, coming to a conclusion. "You're refusing to process my card," she says. It's not a question. It's a statement. A fact being established. Robert leans back against the desk, relaxed now, confident. He's handled this situation. Shut it down before it became a bigger problem. "I'm refusing to waste my time on street theater. There's a difference." He glances at the clock on the wall. 3:35. His real appointment will be here in 25 minutes. A real buyer with real money and real intentions. "Now, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Robert pulls his phone from his pocket, holds it up so she can see it. "You can walk out on your own, or I can call security and they'll escort you out. Your choice. But either way, this conversation is over." The older salesman looks away. Tyler's face has gone pale. The couple from the SUV section whispers to each other. The receptionist stands frozen, her hand halfway to her own phone. Victoria reaches across the desk, picks up her card, slides it back into her portfolio with the same calm precision she used to present it. Then she takes one step back, pulls out her phone, and begins scrolling through her contacts. Robert watches her, irritated that she's still here. "Did you hear me?" I said. "I heard you," Victoria says. Her fingers stop scrolling. She taps a name, holds the phone to her ear. What is she doing now? Calling a lawyer? Recording this for some viral video? Robert has dealt with that before, too. Let her try. He has 17 years of excellent service reviews. His sales record speaks for itself. The phone rings twice. Someone answers. Patricia, Victoria says, her voice perfectly level, perfectly calm. It's Victoria. Robert rolls his eyes. Of course she's calling someone. Probably a friend she rehearsed this whole performance with. He turns to Tyler. Go check on the Matthews family in the service department. Make sure their SUV is ready. Robert, I really think. Just go. Victoria's voice cuts through their conversation. Clear and businesslike. Yes, I'm at the Sterling Motors location.
Excellent.
The
Here you
flagship
go.
dealership
Thanks.
in
This
Dallas.
is perfect.
Robert glances at her, barely listening. She's probably complaining to a friend. Maybe planning to write a bad review online. He'll handle that if it comes up. His record will speak for itself. Cancel the partnership, Victoria says. All of it. The showroom goes silent. Not quiet. Silent. The kind of silence that happens when all sound suddenly gets sucked out of a room. Robert's smirk falters. He tries to process what he just heard. Cancel what partnership? The $3 billion fleet contract with Sterling Motors. Victoria continues, her voice steady, professional, completely devoid of emotion. Terminated. Immediately. The color drains from Robert's face. His mouth opens, but nothing comes out. Notify legal, Victoria says into the phone. Notify procurement. Send the cancellation notice to their board of directors. And, Patricia, prepare a press statement about why we're ending negotiations with Sterling Motors. Make sure it mentions incompatible service standards and a fundamental misalignment in corporate values. Wait. Robert finally manages. The word comes out strangled. Wait. What are you? Victoria holds up one finger, not rudely, just indicating she's not finished, and continues speaking. Yes. The contracts are in my portfolio right now. 320 vehicles across 19 locations. Total value $3.2 billion over the 5-year term. Cancel all of it. Robert's clipboard slips from his hands. It clatters on the floor. The sound echoes like a gunshot. Who are you? His voice is barely a whisper. Victoria lowers the phone, covers the microphone, looks at him with those same steady eyes. My chief operating officer, she says simply. We were scheduled to sign the final contracts with your company on Friday. She pauses, lets it sink in. We were. Robert's hands start shaking. Actually shaking. No, he says, shaking his head rapidly. No. There's no way you're. One moment, Patricia, Victoria says, returning to her call. She looks directly at Robert. I'm sorry, you were saying? Robert's tablet falls from his other hand. It hits the floor with a crack. Around them, other salespeople have stopped everything. Everyone is staring. Everyone heard. Actually, Patricia, Victoria continues, I need to go. Send me the draft statement in an hour. And make sure James Morrison's name is on the distribution list. He's their regional VP. We served on a healthcare panel together last year. He should hear this from us before his board does. She ends the call. The silence that follows is suffocating. Robert's hands fumble for his phone. His fingers are shaking so badly he nearly drops it twice before managing to open the browser. He starts typing frantically. Victoria. No, wait. She said Victoria to whoever was on the phone. What's your name? His voice cracks. Your full name, please. Victoria slides her phone back into her blazer pocket. You didn't ask before. Please. The word breaks as it comes out. Please, just, what's your name? Victoria Hayes. Robert's fingers move frantically across the screen. Victoriahays. The search results load. His eyes go wide. His face goes from pale to gray. Victoria Hayes, founder and CEO, Meditech Solutions. His thumb scrolls. Each line worse than the last. Net worth, $12.4 billion. Scroll. Forbes' top 50 most powerful women in business. Scroll. Youngest female founder to take a healthcare tech company public. Scroll. Meditech Solutions announces expansion into corporate fleet management for medical transport division. The phone slips from his hands. It hits the floor face up. The screen is still glowing with her Wikipedia page. Her photo from some business conference stares up at him. The same face that's standing 3 feet away, watching him realize what he's done. Oh my God. Robert's voice is barely a whisper. Oh my God. You're Victoria Hayes. Yes, she says. Her tone hasn't changed. Still calm. Still level. I'm Victoria Hayes. The woman you just called a scammer. The woman whose card you said was a $40 knockoff. The woman you threatened to have security removed from your showroom. I didn't know, Robert stammers. His carefully constructed authority has completely shattered. I thought you were. You didn't think, Victoria interrupts quietly. You assumed. There's a difference. Robert bends down, grabs his phone with trembling hands. The screen shows her standing on stage at some medical conference. Thousands of people in the audience. He looks up at her, then back at the phone like he needs to confirm they're the same person. I made a mistake, he says, and his voice is pleading now. A terrible mistake. But you have to understand, we get people in here all the time who what? Victoria asks. Who look like me? Robert's mouth opens. Closes. Nothing comes out that won't make this infinitely worse. I've been standing in your showroom for 23 minutes, Victoria says. Her voice is quiet, but every word lands like a hammer. Nobody greeted me. Nobody offered help. Not until you decided I needed to leave. And when I presented legitimate payment for a $400,000 vehicle, you laughed at me.
Publicly.
In front of your staff and your customers. I know, Robert says. I know, and I'm so sorry.
Please.
The contract. The partnership. We can what? Victoria picks up her portfolio from the desk. Start over? Pretend this didn't happen? Pretend you didn't show me exactly who you are when you thought nobody important was watching. Behind them, Tyler has his phone out, frantically typing. Probably texting management. Probably praying someone above Robert's level can fix this. They can't. The showroom doors burst open. A man in an expensive suit practically runs inside, his phone still in his hand, his face flushed red. James Morrison, regional vice president. He'd been in a meeting across town when Tyler's emergency text came through. Just 4 words. Victoria Hayes here. Crisis. He'd left his coffee on the conference table and broken speed limits getting here. James stops 5 feet inside the showroom, his eyes scanning frantically until they land on Victoria. His expression goes through several phases in less than 2 seconds. Confusion, recognition, absolute horror. Miss Hayes, he's breathing hard. Miss Hayes, I just got a message that... He looks around at Robert standing there pale and trembling, at the gathered crowd, at the Titan elite still sitting behind them in the showcase. I don't understand. The contract was supposed to be signed Friday. Everything was finalized. Victoria says simply. That single word hits James like a physical blow. His face drains of color. Was? What do you mean, was? The contract was supposed to be signed Friday, Victoria confirms. It's not anymore. Robert makes a sound, something between a whimper and an attempt at words. He steps forward, hands raised. Mr. Morrison, I can explain. There was a misunderstanding. I didn't realize who she was. James turns to look at Robert. Just looks at him. Doesn't say a word. But the look itself could cut through steel. Robert stops talking immediately. Actually takes a step backward. You didn't realize, James repeats, his voice dangerously quiet, that the woman standing in our showroom asking about our executive fleet program might be the CEO we've been courting for 9 months? The CEO whose signature was worth $3 billion. I thought she was. Don't. James holds up one hand. Don't say another word. The doors open again. Catherine Walsh, VP of Operations, rushes in with 2 other executives. Catherine sees Victoria and her expression collapses. She'd been in every single negotiation meeting. She'd personally walked Victoria through the fleet specifications. She knows exactly what this means. Oh no. Catherine's voice is barely audible. Please tell me. Your senior sales director just accused Miss Hayes of carrying a counterfeit credit card. James says, each word clipped and controlled. He laughed at her publicly, then threatened to call security to remove her from the building. One of the executives behind Catherine actually gasps. The other closes his eyes like he's in physical pain. And Victoria Hayes stands there, watching it all unfold, knowing that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply let the truth speak for itself. Catherine turns to Robert. Her voice shakes. You did what? I didn't know who she was, Robert says, and now he's openly crying. Actual tears running down his face. She didn't say. She just walked in and you assumed. Victoria finishes for him. You looked at me, made a judgment in 10 seconds, and decided I was wasting your time. James pulls out his phone, types something rapidly, then looks back at Victoria. His hand is shaking. Miss Hayes, please. If we could speak privately. If there's any way to what? Victoria's voice is still calm, but there's something underneath now. Something that's been building for 23 minutes. To apologize? To explain this away? To promise me it won't happen again? Yes, James says, and there's desperation in his voice now. All of that, any of that. We'll terminate Robert immediately. We'll implement mandatory training for every employee. You'll do all of that anyway, Victoria says, because you should have done it already. But that doesn't change what happened here. It doesn't change the fact that your senior sales director, the person you trusted to represent your company, looked at a black woman and immediately assumed she was running a scam. The words hang in the air. Nobody moves. Nobody speaks. The truth of it sits heavy in the room. Victoria continues, her voice measured and precise. I didn't come here anonymously. I came here as myself, dressed professionally, carrying contracts worth billions. And I was treated like a criminal, not because of anything I did, because of what I look like. Catherine steps forward. Miss Hayes, I understand your anger. This is inexcusable. But please, 9 months of negotiations. Hundreds of hours of work from both our teams. All of which, Victoria interrupts, apparently meant nothing the moment I walked through your door and your senior sales director decided I didn't belong here. James's phone buzzes. He glances at it. His face somehow gets even paler. The board is calling, he says quietly. Someone already told them. Good, Victoria thinks. Let them know now. Let them feel this in real time. She looks at the assembled executives, James, Catherine, the 2 others whose names she doesn't know, and Robert, standing off to the side like he's hoping to disappear. I want to be very clear about something, Victoria says, and her voice carries across the showroom that's gone completely silent. This wasn't a test. I didn't come here planning to see what would happen if someone mistreated me. I came here to evaluate your service standards before my company committed $3 billion to a partnership. She pauses, lets that sink in. And I got my answer. Victoria turns to look directly at Robert. You didn't just cost your company a contract. You showed them exactly who you are. You showed them what happens when nobody important is watching. When you think you can treat people however you want because you've decided they don't matter. I've built my company from a college dorm room to $12 billion in valuation, Victoria continues. I've sat across from investors who told me to my face that women don't understand healthcare technology. I've had venture capitalists ask to speak to the real CEO while I was sitting right there. I've walked into boardrooms where people assumed I was someone's assistant, someone's secretary, anyone but the person who built the entire company they wanted to invest in. James is staring at the floor. Catherine has her hand over her mouth. So, I've learned to evaluate companies not by what they say in boardrooms or what they promise in contracts, Victoria says, but by how they treat people when they think those people don't have power. Because that's when you see the truth. That's when you see who they really are. She picks up her portfolio. Robert saw a black woman walk into his showroom and decided within seconds that I was wasting his time. Not because of anything I said or did. Because of what I looked like. And when I presented legitimate payment, he laughed at me, called my card a cheap knockoff, and threatened to have me removed. Victoria turns to James. You asked what you could do to fix this. But here's what you're not understanding. This isn't fixable. Because I didn't see your training program fail. I didn't see your policies break down. I saw your senior sales director's actual character, his actual beliefs, the things he thinks when he believes nobody important is watching. She walks toward the exit. Her heels click against the floor. Each step echoes in the silence. Please, Robert suddenly says, his voice breaking. I have a family, a mortgage. I've worked here 17 years. One mistake, and you're going to ruin my entire life. Victoria stops, turns back, looks at him with those same steady eyes. One mistake, she repeats softly. Is that what you think this was? One bad moment. Yes. Robert nods frantically. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has bad days. No, Victoria says. This wasn't a mistake. A mistake is when you add numbers wrong or forget someone's name. What you did was reveal who you are,
How you think.
what you believe about people who look like me. She takes a step closer to him. You looked at me and saw someone who didn't deserve your time or your respect. You saw someone you could mock publicly, someone you could threaten, someone you could dismiss. And you did all of that because you were absolutely certain I had no power, no status, no ability to affect your life in any meaningful way. Robert is sobbing now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You're sorry you were wrong, Victoria says gently. You're sorry I turned out to be someone who mattered. But you're not sorry for how you treated me. Because if I had been exactly who you assumed I was, just some random black woman who wandered in off the street, you'd feel completely justified in everything you did, wouldn't you? Robert doesn't answer. He can't. They both know the truth. Victoria walks through the automatic doors. They whisper closed behind her. The parking lot is bathed in golden late-afternoon sun. Her BMW sits exactly where she left it 38 minutes ago. She unlocks it, sets her portfolio on the passenger seat, and sits behind the wheel. Through the showroom windows, she can see the chaos unfolding. Security is approaching Robert. James has his phone pressed to his ear, his free hand covering his face. Catherine is gesturing frantically. Customers are recording on their phones. Victoria starts the engine and pulls out of the parking lot. Behind her, careers are ending. Emergency meetings are being called. Legal teams are being briefed. An 87-year-old company is learning a lesson that will cost them billions. Her phone buzzes. A text from Patricia. Press statement drafted. Legal approved. Ready when you are. Victoria types back. Send it. Within minutes, the story hits Bloomberg, Reuters, The Wall Street Journal. Business blogs pick it up within the hour. By morning, every major publication runs some version of the headline. Billionaire CEO cancels $3 billion deal after discrimination at Dallas dealership. Robert Davidson's 17-year career ends that Tuesday afternoon. Sterling Motors stock drops 14% over the next week. James Morrison spends months in crisis management before eventually resigning. The company implements mandatory bias training, hires diversity consultants, issues public apologies. But the damage is done. Not just financially, reputationally. Because Victoria was right. This becomes a case study. Business schools teach it. Corporate training programs reference it. And every salesperson in every showroom across the country learns one very expensive lesson. Never assume you know someone's worth by looking at them. Some mistakes cost careers. Some cost millions. This one cost billions. And it all started with one laugh. One assumption. One moment when someone decided that a black woman couldn't possibly belong. If this story made you think about how we judge people and the real cost of prejudice, I hope it stays with you. Because the truth is, we all make assumptions every single day. The question is, what are we going to do about it?